Hi, I'm Nathaniel, CEO at Pickaxe. I wanted to make a quick video today about how to connect domains to studios. This is a problem that a lot of our customers have, and honestly, it's one of the areas where it can be easy to get confused when you're setting up a studio and you're wanting to make a custom domain. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to try is I'm going to set up a domain, and there's basically two ways to do this. One is I want the domain to be the studio to be the main thing within the domain. So I want www.whatever to go to the studio. I want nothing.whatever to go to the studio. It's just the overall main thing. I'm not going to put much else at this domain. I'm just setting this up basically. And so first I'll show you how to do that. And the way that we'll do it is I have NameCheap. And so I'm showing you within NameCheap how to do this. But there's a lot of other services that people have. They all look a little different, which can be confusing. But you know, the domain that I'm going to set up is cashew.dev, which is just a domain that I happen to have. And we'll go to share, we'll go to add domain. Now you can only add one domain to a studio. And so, you know, don't try to add more than one domain to a studio. And if you've already added the domain to a studio, you might need to talk to us if you're having problems with deleting it and putting it back. But to basically set it up, you can see it's telling us that there's this CNAME option and this A record option, and it's giving us some instructions. You know, when we want it to be the whole domain, we should add the A record. So I'm going to go ahead and add the A record as it's saying. Now, usually what you're going to want to look for in your domain name provider is something that looks like DNS, or maybe it says advanced DNS. You know, DNS is what you're looking for. And you can see here that there are no records. Now, if you're trying to set this up as a main domain for your for a site, sometimes services might put some records here by default. You should clean those up and delete them if you're not using them. If you want this to be the new thing that happens when people go to this site, you should clean up the records that are there. And we're going to create an A record. Now, this is pretty important. There's this @ sign in the host area. Okay, for some service providers, like NameCheap is one, but you might use Squarespace, you might use GoDaddy. There's a bunch of them. Instead of having the @ sign, you would just leave this blank. The @ basically means blank, and for some reason some of them have an @ some of them have it blank. So we're going to have the @ and NameCheap, but you want to either have an @ one or blank one, depending on what your provider uses, and you might have to look it up. But in NameCheap, we'll have the @ and this looks good. Now, what this has done is made it so that ideally, if it's nothing, it's just I go to cashew.dev, it will bring me there properly. But it's a lot of times better, and it's important, because sometimes browsers will move you between just cashew.dev and www.cashew.dev. They use it interchangeably. It's important to set up both, probably, if you want this to be the main thing that people do with your site. And to do that is easy. We'll just add another A record. We'll make this one www, and we'll put the same IP address, and we'll save our changes. Now, anything that you're doing in the domain name provider could take a while. Up to 24 hours, is a good rule of thumb to propagate across the whole internet. Now, if you're based in the United States, if you're based in, California, this could be faster, depending on where the domain name provider is located. We've found that for people that are based in countries, around the world, sometimes, particularly in those instances, it can be slower. You never really know. Sometimes it's very fast. You just don't know. So, I've set that up. I've updated my records. Now I will click, I have updated my records, and I will put in my domain. My domain, you can see it's not asking for the HTTPS, it's not asking for www, it's just asking for your domain .whatever. So in this case, we'll just put in cashew.dev, and we'll click add domain. Now it says the domain has been successfully added, and if we try it out, it already works. So this is phenomenal. Sometimes it will not happen this quickly. And this, I think, will be a different color, and it'll wait. And the best practice is just to wait at least 24 hours, and then we can investigate what problems have arisen. But hopefully that's helpful. So now we've already got startup tools set up at cachery.dev. It's awesome, exciting. Now I just want to briefly show what if you don't want it to be the main thing at the domain. Maybe you've got a main website, and you just want this to be at, say it's studio.whatever.com, or it's pickaxe.whatever.com, or it's gpt.whatever.com. We got you covered. So we're going to do the same process. We're going to set up therapy space, and this is just another domain that we own called BTC TWTR. And there is a main website that's already in here. We don't want to mess with these records, right? We want to make sure that they, we don't mess with them, because we don't want to break our existing website, right? And so in this case, we're going to use the CNAME connection. And so we're going to copy this over here, and let's just say we want to do, we'll pick a CNAME record, and let's just do it at gpt.whatever.com. So in this case, we'll put in the CNAME string there, and we'll click Save Changes, and we're all good there. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in this domain, which is now in this case, what we want to do, because we're doing it at a subdomain, this time we want to say gpt.btctwtr.com. That's important, right? Because we want it to check that subdomain. Okay, it says it successfully added the domain. Let's give it a try. Okay, saying that the site can't be reached. That is to be expected, because this can take a moment. Okay, so that probably took about 5 minutes. It was not instantaneous. I cut some time out in the middle there. But now, after a little bit of frustrating time seeing it not working, it's working fine. So please just give it some time, especially with the CNAME records. I think sometimes they take a little longer. And yeah, so that's how you connect either a domain at the main level or a domain at the subdomain level. We're so excited to see what you build. Happy prompting.